Folks, I've been saying for years, you can't believe one daggone thing AI tells you. And here's my vindication. If you've not seen the story over at Ars Technica, testing suggests Google's AI overviews tell millions of lies per hour. Millions per hour. Not a few oopsies here and there, not the occasional hallucination. Millions of flat out wrong answers being spoon fed to people every single hour of every single day. They ran the numbers with some fancy benchmark, simple QA, and found Google's little AI summary machine is only right about 90%, maybe 91% of the time after the latest Gemini upgrade. But folks, 90% is abysmal. In the old days, if your mechanic was right 90% of the time, you'd find a new mechanic. If your pilot was right 90% of the time, you'd never get on a plane. But when it's Google, oh, that's good enough for a search robot, they say. Is 90% accuracy good enough? Sure, if you don't mind the remaining 10% is flooding the world with hundreds of thousands of errors per minute. Look, folks, it's not so much that it gets things wrong. If it gets a recipe wrong, fine, you end up with dinner that's missing something that you just can't put your finger on, but you move on. But when it spits out and gets wrong information of consequence, like election irregularities or vaccine information, or it just omits facts from an answer, that's a problem. And the proportion is so vast that it's not even noticeable to most users. Think about the scale, ladies and gentlemen. Google handles trillions of searches a year. So take that 9 or 10% miss rate and multiply it by the sheer volume of inquiries, and suddenly you've got tens of millions of incorrect AI overviews going out every single day. Tens of millions of people walking away thinking they just got the straight scoop from the all knowing Google machine, when in reality, the thing just confidently told them the wrong year Bob Marley's house became a museum, or that there's no classical music hall of fame, even though Yo Yo Mama was just inducted into it, or whatever other basic fact it decided to invent that hour. And here's the best part. Google's response is basically, well, that test doesn't reflect real world research. And besides, our own internal numbers say something different. Well, there you go, folks. Nothing to see here. Uh, when the independent testing shows problems, attack the test. When the AI cites sources that don't even support what it just said, and that number of ungrounded answers actually went up with the newer model, shrug and move on. AI responses may include mistakes. That's the little disclaimer they put under it. Translation, we know it's lying a good chunk of the time, but we're still going to put it at the top of the page and hope you don't notice. This is the same crowd that spent years lecturing the rest of us about misinformation and disinformation. Remember? They were going to save democracy by scrubbing the internet of anything they didn't like. Fact checkers, trusted sources, and now their own AI is manufacturing falsehoods at an industrial scale and injecting them straight into the search results of millions of people who just wanted a quick answer. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Here's the real story, folks. Big tech doesn't care if it's accurate. They care if it's convenient. If it keeps you on the page, if it consolidates their power as the gatekeepers of information. They've decided that a chatbot that gets it wrong one time out of 10 is progress, because it puts them in the middle of every conversation, every question, every fact you used to look up yourself. So the next time someone tells you Google knows everything, remind them right now it's telling millions of lies per hour and smiling while it does it. And the people who used to scream about fake news, Suddenly they're very, very quiet. That's the way it is, folks. Don't be shocked. Just be informed. And for heaven's sake, maybe double check the AI overview before you believe it. This is where we are today in America. We'll be back, and we hope you will too.